So we all know what happened with Joe Biden in the debate with Kamala Harris, and we all know the fallout from that debate. Joe Biden has slid a number of points. Some say he's also losing a grip on the African-American vote, which we know is the only reason why Joe Biden's even being considered the front runner. Is there a number of older black people? Now, this is according to reports. I have no way to verify this. I'm not, I find it disheartening that black folks see Joe Biden in such a positive light. I'm not sure exactly why. But according to the polling, Joe Biden polls very high with older black folks. So, but after Kamala Harris took him to task about busing legislation and working with segregationists and this whole swirl of news about the 70s and some of Joe Biden's more controversial decisions or positions and legislation that he worked on, she brought it up in the debate. So Joe Biden, I've seen him make comments on various outlets. In this interview with Chris Cuomo, he's going to go into depth about it.
With you and Jill, you said you were expecting to have a target on your back, but the intensity of some of it. Did you see the questions about your past positions from the perspective of race being as relevant as they are?
No, and I don't think they're relevant because they're taken out of context. What I didn't see is people who know me. I mean, they know me well. It's not like it's somebody who just came out of the blue, didn't know anything. But it's so easy to go back 30, 40, 50 years and take a context and take it completely out of context. And I mean, I get all this information about other people's past and what they've done and not done. And, I'm just not going to go there. If we keep doing that, what we should be debating what we do from here. For example, this whole thing about race and busing. Well, I think if you take a look, our positions aren't any different, as we're finding out.
With Senator Harris, who said she sees it as a tool, not a must in all circumstances.
Yeah, well, look at my record.
But I don't think busing is about policy, Mr. Vice President.
No, it's not.
I think it was about principle. When you look back at your record on it, you were not in favor of busing. It was a different time. There were different applications. Why not just own it and say,
here's the thing,
I was
Chris.
against it, but now I've changed?
I was in favor of busing that was de jure busing. That is, if a court ruled that there was a law passed or circumstance that a county, a city, a state did that prevented black folks from being somewhere, then that's wrong. You should bus. I even went so far in the middle of that busing controversy was saying I use helicopters if that was necessary to make the point. And we really got in a town meeting that got very hot. But what the issue is now is, for example, and it was then, voluntary busing. We supported it. We supported it then. And by the way, Barack and I, as president and vice president, we provided money for voluntary busing if cities want to do it.
I'm not questioning any of that. I'm
No.
saying that when you look back in the 70s, you said, I think busing doesn't work. It's an asinine concept.
Well, by the way,
you tried to pass bills that weren't for it.
Busing did not work. You had overwhelming response from the African-American community in my state. My state is the 8th largest black population in the country as a percent of population. They did not support it. They did not support it. Look, the question is, how do you equalize education in every area? And I put forward the most aggressive plan to do that, and I've been pushing it for a long time. For example, in Title I schools at disadvantage. I propose we go from $15 billion a year to $45 billion a year. We should bring people in, have preschool from 3, 4, 5 years old before kindergarten. We should have, look, every child out there is capable, but they live in circumstances that make it difficult. For the time they get to school, they've heard 3, 4 million fewer words spoken. They're at a disadvantage.
I totally accept all of it.
That's number one. But number two, the idea right now, 65 out of 100 jobs in a study I did for the president point out you need something beyond a high school degree.
It's true.
So what are we doing? We're sitting around here as if it's an insoluble problem.
I get it on the policy. I never have viewed the busing back and forth in that debate as about policy or application of how to affect civil rights. It's about consistency and proving if you'll be better than what we're dealing with now in the White House, which is people won't tell the truth about things. If busing didn't work, then it made sense that you weren't for it back then. But why say you were for it?
Well,
why
no,
not just be straight about it and move on?
Because there's three different pieces. I was for voluntary busing. Number one, I was for busing where the court showed that, in fact, a legislative body took an action preventing black folks from going to a school. That is de jure, I know you know, de jure segregation. The difficult piece is, this is 50 years ago, people don't understand the context. The third one is, do you have an administration through their non-elected officials, the Department of Housing, decide every school should be equally balanced across the board? That's a different issue. And the way to deal with that problem is what I did from the time I was a kid. I got out of law school, came back, had a great job, became a public defender. I fought for putting housing in low-income housing in suburbia. I talked about eliminating redlining. I talked about school districts should be consolidated in ways that made sense. So, in fact,
why didn't you fight it like this in the debate?
In 30 seconds?
Hey,
come
what
on,
happens most in a debate, Mr. Vice President? People blow their time cue. You're the only person I've ever seen on a debate stage say, I'm out of time.
Well, we never had a place where you have 30 seconds, man. What I didn't want to do is get in that scrum. Do you think the American public looked at that debate, take me out of it, and thought, boy, I really like the way that's being conducted. They're really showing themselves to do really well. Come on, man.
But they're going to come after you.
Sure, they're going to come after me.
Were you prepared for them to come after you?
I was prepared for them to come after me, but I wasn't prepared for the person coming at me the way she came out. She knew Bo, she knows me. But here's the deal. What I do know, and it's the good and the bad news, the American people think they know me, and they know me. Since that occurred, I had the most sought-after endorsement for the mayor of Atlanta, a black woman who's a great leader, Mayor Bottoms, endorsement. I've had numerous members of the Black Caucus endorse me.
You worried about the poll slippage with African Americans after the debate?
No. These folks just came. I'm making the point to you. I don't see it. People know who I am. I don't believe there's anybody out there believes that I have anything other than a keen and consistent interest in making sure every child has. These are all our children.
Here's the question. Did you rewatch the debate?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
Well, I didn't have an opportunity to rewatch it. And besides, my measure is how people react outside, getting on a train, getting on a plane, walking through an airport, walking in a parade, just going to the grocery store. I got no sense. I really mean it. No sense.
Here's the tough question for Democrats. They need a warrior, okay? Because not to aggrandize, not to lionize, but this president knows how to fight in the ring one-on-one. Kamala Harris is friendly fire. Cory Booker is friendly fire. How can Democrats have confidence that you can take on the biggest and the baddest when you're having trouble sparring in party?
I don't think I'm having trouble sparring. It's how you want to spar. Look, I'm the guy at the time everybody talks about things that are changed. I took on same-sex marriage. I took on a whole range of issues. I took on arms control. I took on dealing with Russia with the arms control agreement. I took on Putin in terms of in terms of what was going on in Ukraine. Mm-hmm. I've taken on these leaders around the world. I'm the guy that's gone in and met them. I've taken on all these leaders. This is ironic. I've never been accused of not being able to spar. I've been accused of being too aggressive.
But the game has changed.
Well,
and you think that what's happening with Harris is anything compared to what would happen with you and this president?
No, but everybody knows who this guy is. Come on, man. Come on.
How do you beat him?
I beat him by just pointing out who I am and who he is and what we're for and what he's against. This guy is a divider in chief. This guy is acting with racist policies. This guy is moving to just foment hate.
Okay, so I think Joe Biden is pretty desperate right there. I think we just saw Joe Biden be very desperate. He knows that his campaign's in trouble. He's slipping in the polls. Kamala Harris got a big win out of this. She gained, 10 points? She shot up from 7% to 17%. Now, I'm not sure if that's going to hold. If you think you're going to get through the whole, primary process, holding on to that number based on a debate performance in the first debate, or in your first debate, then that would be crazy. So I don't think that's it. I don't think the race is over at all. But I think Joe Biden realizes that he needs to come out and talk about this, because I think he'd much rather not have to talk about it. So that's where I'm at on that. Let me just make sure people are back here. No. Okay, so a couple notes. Made a couple notes from Joe Biden's conversation with Chris Cuomo. First of all, Chris Cuomo, I want to make it clear, I'm not a fan of Chris Cuomo. Right, not a fan at all. I know they like him at CNN. I don't like him much. And one of the reasons is because I don't think he has much integrity. This is a guy who got out on national television, on CNN, and said, if you read WikiLeaks, you could go to jail. Which is a horrible lie, okay? You know, he's part of that elitist, compromise, sellout, fake journalist, working for the stiffs, working for the corporations that want to tell you what you should know. Not that you should go find it out for yourself. He wants to be the one to tell you what you should know so that they can form the narrative and they can truncate it and give you the part that they want you to hear out. So I don't trust Chris Cuomo at all. But a couple things here from the interview that I thought were interesting. First of all, Joe Biden said he didn't even rewatch or watch his own debate. Boy, I know if I'm Joe Biden's staff, I'm Team Joe Biden. Simone Sanders, you need to just quit, get them their money back or something. Or better yet, just quit. Keep the money. Because the hit you've taken in the trust category is so huge, you're going to really need that money. I'm just thinking if you work for Joe Biden right now on this campaign and you are sitting back watching him tell the world he didn't even watch his own performance. I went on a comedy tour in 2018. You damn right I watched my performance to improve. Joe Biden wants to be your president, but he doesn't even want to watch his own performance. Or it could just be that he's lying. I think he's lying. I think he watched it. He may have gotten sick watching it. He might have watched the whole thing out of shame and embarrassment. But lying on CNN that you haven't watched. You haven't had time. He hasn't had the time. All right. Another thing I found very telling is he's trying to throw black people in support of him. So I got endorsed by this black man, this black woman. Who cares, man? All these people in the black caucus support me. They came out and endorsed me. Who cares, man? I don't care who came out and endorsed you. People who are looking for favors will endorse you. That doesn't change anything. Nothing at all. In fact, the fact that you have to start naming names of people that endorsed you after this, as if that has something to do with voters. Like the people at home who watched it, who all of a sudden went from, hey, I like Joe Biden, to, hey, I didn't even notice about Joe Biden. What's going on? Like the veil that was over their eyes about you, Joe, has been lifted. And now they're going to start sniffing out more about you. Now, let's talk a little bit about the busing issue itself, okay? Joe's not being totally honest about the busing issue, guys. Look, he's right about one part, though. A lot of people didn't like busing. This is true. A lot of people didn't like busing. Telling people what school they have to go to. A lot of people didn't like that, okay? But Joe's reason for not wanting busing is different than the reasons for, say, a black community or a black family in a black community not wanting to be bused. Biden said he didn't want to be mixed up with George Wallace, referring to the notorious Alabama segregationist governor, but added that the real problem with busing is that you take people who aren't racist, people who are good citizens, who believe in equal education and opportunity, and you stunt the child's intellectual growth by busing them to an inferior school, and you're going to fill them with hatred. Think about what he's saying there. This was Joe's argument back then. You don't want good white people to have to send their children to bad black schools. That's what he's saying. Why should good white people who haven't hurt anybody have to go to a crap black school? Black people don't even want to go to it. Why should we make white people go to it? He's not saying, hey, man, let's get this right, guys. Joe isn't saying, hey, let's make the schools better. Let's make all the schools great. Let's make the schools better. He's saying, hey, black people should stay at their bad schools. How could you say these people want equal opportunity for everybody if that consists of black people staying in inferior schools? How is it equal opportunity if the black people go to bad schools? And you know they're bad schools because they're underfunded. This was Joe Biden's argument for busing, or against busing, I should say. It wasn't because he was worried about his people having to travel. He said it would piss off white people. That's his reason. His words. These are quotes from him back at the time when he was fighting tooth and nail against busing. Biden went so far to say, or he insisted, that busing itself was racist. The new integration plans being offered are really just quota systems to assure a certain number of blacks, Chicanos, or whatever in each school. That, to me, is the most racist concept you can come up with. What it says is, in order for your child with curly black hair, brown eyes, and dark skin to be able to learn anything, he needs to sit next to my blonde-haired, blue-eyed son. That's racist. Who the hell do we think we are that the only way a black man or woman can learn is that they rub shoulders with my white child? Biden backed anti-busing sponsored by another notorious segregationist, Senator Jesse Helms of North Carolina. I have become convinced that busing is a bankrupt concept, Biden said on the Senate floor while discussing the bill, according to Mother Jones. In the 70s, Biden pushed an amendment that would have limited busing after a federally mandated integration program was to begin in his home state of Delaware. The Washington Post described Biden's bill at the time as the most far-reaching anti-busing measure to receive serious consideration in the Senate. His rationale to be against busing totally obscures the fact. Like he was running away from the truth. Like the truth was a fog. A toxic fog coming after him. He was running from it. Oh no, not the truth. No truth, please. Keep the truth away. Because the truth of the matter was, all people want to go to good schools so they get better educations. Joe made it about the color of the people. We're talking about the lack of options or the lack of being able to attend a good school. It's not about the color of the people that are already there. It's about how bad the schools are that are available to you. Look, just make sure everyone knows. Schools are funded by taxpayer revenue. If you're living in a bunch of apartment buildings where you don't own anything, right? You don't have property taxes to help pay for the schools adequately. The suburbs, where people own homes, paying property taxes, pays for better schools, better resources. A more paid school, a more well-funded school equals better teachers, or better trained teachers. More competitive. Teachers can probably make more money at that school. More of them will probably go to that school. Since they have an abundance of teachers applying, they can choose the best because they're applying. It's pretty simple once you start thinking about it. But see, Joe Biden wasn't concerned with those blacks and Latinos or Chicanos or whatever he referred to them as in these neighborhoods going to bad schools. He was just concerned about white people staying in good schools. And that happened to be hassled by having black people around. And lo and behold, man, we would hate for a white kid to have to go to a black school. Oh my God, that's like torture. Why would you send a nice white kid, blonde-haired, blue-eyed white kid to a school full of a bunch of darkies? Look, man, I'm not saying I could see into Joe Biden's heart, but he sounded like a real racist to me. He just didn't have the same lit language as some of the segregationists, but he was right there. Like he was the toned down version of all of those segregationists that we hear about. He was the presentable racist. You know, the oh, I get you. I got your Armitage. We the same. I feel you. That type of guy, you know. Joe Biden was always with the segregationists and the bigots, the Jesse Helmses, the all of these vapid, racist, bigoted scumbags of the time, the Dixiecrats. He was always like this, you know. They had a proverbial the head nod, you know. They knew each other. They were on the same page. It was unspoken. Now, just basically so we're putting aside all of that, right? Another area of this interview that exposes, I think, something that's even more fundamental, and I think Chris Cuomo hit on this. Joe Biden ain't ready. He wasn't ready. He was not ready to be challenged on his record. How can you not be ready to be challenged on your record? In fact, it's not as if Kamala Harris brought this issue up. The issue had already been in the news prior to the debate. So how could you not think it would be brought up? It was being brought up already. It was already brought up. Kamala Harris didn't break the news by asking Joe Biden about this. And by the way, guys, I'm not a big Kamala Harris fan. I don't support Kamala Harris. I think Kamala Harris is opportunist, and I think she's manipulating this moment to her own benefit, but I think that's what happens, okay? That's what happens. But if Kamala Harris can be instrumental in getting Joe Biden out the way, I'm for it. You know? The enemy of your enemy is your friend. In this instance. But please don't write me letters about trying to explain to me how bad Kamala is. I've covered Kamala extensively. From Steve Mnuchin to bad drug policies, the 3-strike laws that Joe Biden passed that she more than happy to implement, her merciless attack on poor people, her unrelenting allegiance to locking people up, even nonviolent drug offenders, for the most amount of time she could find. I mean, it's a grocery list of horrible things that Kamala Harris has done in her past, and I think should be brought to bear, that should be brought up. And if Joe Biden would have been prepared, maybe he would have brought them up. But he wasn't prepared. Because, look, either you're completely arrogant or you're completely lazy. So which one is it going to be, Joe? Either you're arrogant as hell because you thought you could walk into a debate and not have to actually debate anything as the front runner. So that would either be arrogance, ignorance, or laziness. It ain't that many things it could be, guys. I'm sorry. It's just what it is. None of them instill confidence that you will be a good person to lead anything. And I always like to point people back to the fact that this is not the first time or the second time, and technically not even the third time that Joe Biden has run for presidency. But all those times that Joe has run, he's never won a single primary. He never even came in second. So all these people who go, Joe's a great, he's fantastic, he can beat Trump. He hasn't beat anybody in anything in a very long time. He was chosen as VP because Obama, and when people say, oh, well, why did Obama pick him if he's so racist? I didn't say he was so racist. I said he sounded racist. I don't know his heart. But I can tell you this, Obama knew he needed some white people who would feel a lot more comfortable if they had an old white guy like him sitting there, an older white guy like him sitting there with his somewhat moderate conservative values. And maybe if Hillary Clinton was a little bit more strategic, you would have had your Hillary presidency. But she went and got dumb Tim Kaine. Probably one of the worst picks. That's right up there with John McCain getting Sarah Palin. I mean, what did Tim Kaine help Hillary get? Win? How did he help? He didn't help. He was a liability. She's a liability and he a liability. So anyway, guys, yeah. All right, guys. So you know the phone number 319-527-6212. My phone look like my phone lines are ready. I'm gonna go ahead and jump in with some phone calls, man. That's enough for me tonight. Let's get some comments from some other people. Let's get the comments from the people now. All right. 716. You're live on Freedom Friday. What's your name? What's your comment?
Hey, this is Mark from Buffalo.
Mark, my brother.
How you doing?
Hey, Mark, how you doing, man?
Oh, pretty good. I don't know why Joe Biden's even in this race, to be honest with you. I don't know what his platform is. But I was just calling to say thank you for what you do and congratulations on your award, and keep doing what you're doing.
Hey, man, thank you, man. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it, man. That's what's up. You know, that's a good point you made about Joe Biden's platform. No one even talks about his platform. Isn't that amazing? Did he mention his platform during that interview with Chris Cuomo? I didn't play the whole thing, but that was a sizable amount of it. But I'll tell you, when I hear Joe talk, he just talks about Trump. He talks about Trump and platitudes about the soul of America. You know, when you start talking about the soul of America, you're really grasping at straws there. And I know a lot of people watch a lot of movies and they believe a lot of crazy stuff. America's done some pretty bad things that are pretty soulless. They used to feed babies to alligators in the South. Tortured Indians. I mean, what part of... I want to know what soul we talking about. Kennedy got killed, assassinated. MLK got killed. Malcolm X got killed. Medgar Evers got killed. What... We flooded drugs in from the Contras back under Reagan, like Ollie North. When did the soul, what time of the soul are we talking about, Joe? What soul are we, when, or what soul? It's not that every person is bad or soulless, but as a country, when you say the soul of the country, I'm trying to understand what the hell you're talking about. Because in the world that I live in, me watching my friends go to jail over a little bit of coke or a little bit of weed, almost my entire life, what soul are you talking about? 917, you're live Freedom Friday. What's your name? What's your comment?
Oh, hey, Tim. It's Kennedy from Brooklyn.
Hey, what's up, Kennedy? What's on your mind, brother?
Well, it's always great to hear you. Congratulations on your award. Well deserved.
Thank you, brother.
Keep speaking truth to power and giving us the space to do the same. So thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Biden. First, I have to laugh. All the little devices he uses when he has no options. Like, come on, man. And he has to mention Barack and gay marriage. I'm the guy who got gay marriage. I'm the guy who stood up for, what'd you stand up for? Then he starts saying black. And then he starts, insinuating like black people are coming out of the woodwork to support me. I eat black licorice. I like black beans. And you're like, what? Wait, hold on a minute. So, yeah, I'm sorry. Then he'll go on the Trump tirade, and he's only marginally better, which is really funny. But, then just the whole thing. Then Chris Cuomo, throwing the softballs. And it's like, come on, Chris. He's trying to be like a deep, penetrating investigative journalist. And he keeps throwing softballs. It's like, come on, Uncle Joe. But, yeah, so Biden, he just needs to get out of the way. He's just a space filler. He's making Kamala look better. That's what they're doing. They're putting him in there to go, well, Kamala's way better than Joe. I mean, look at this hot mess. And then, Then, on a side topic, Tulsi. Tulsi did a phenomenal job during the debate. And I don't know if you noticed or if you caught wind of what happened, but TMZ caught it. They put a Snapchat filter on Tulsi Gabbard during the debate, adding a pimple. And at one point, it disappeared. And they spoke with her camp. Nico House covered it. A couple of other journalists have covered it. And I'm just like, why would they do that? Why would MSNBC add a blemish to Tulsi Gabbard? And it's just funny that these are the length. I mean, you literally can watch the clip and it disappears. And you're like, wait, what? Why would they go to these lengths to sort of manipulate someone's image? So anyway, that's something to consider just because it's MSNBC and they're, pro-war, and she's an anti-war candidate. So I want to applaud her for doing so well and for shining so brightly that they had to blemish her, literally. Anyway, that's most of what I wanted to cover tonight. But yeah, it's always great to hear you, Tim. Glad to be on again, and I wish you ongoing success always.
Hey, thank you, Kennedy, man. You are killing me tonight, man. That's hilarious, brother. I don't know if you're watching, man, or you're just listening on the phone, but brother, you had me over here in stitches, man. That's a good one. Come on, man. Come on, man. I love the blacks, man. Come on, man. I got Stevie Wonder records. Come on, man. I like gays too. Come on, man. Oh, come on. Ready, preparing for debates. Come on, man. Who prepares for debates? Come on, man. Platform. Come on, man. Oh, God. Woo. Oh, hilarious. Let me go to the next call, man.